But first, to the candidates forum, with presidential hopeful Mitt Romney all but locking up the Republican nomination to take on President Obama this fall. He found time to pay a visit to the Garden State to lend his support to another potential nominee who has his sights set on the U.S. Senate. That candidate is Joe Kyrillos, and the state senator from Middletown joins me now. Hello and welcome to the show.
Brenda, thank you. Great to be with you.
And what did that mean for a major campaign, in fact, in this one, the presumed Republican nominee, Mitt Romney, to actually come here to the Garden State and actually come to visit you and be a part of a big fundraiser for you?
Well, we had a big event. It was very successful, and obviously I'm very grateful that Governor Romney, who is just a little bit busy these days, would find some time to come in and help us out. And I think it means that our campaign is doing very, very well. We're trying to make the case that needs to be made against Senator Menendez, that America needs to do better. We're off to a really, really strong start, and so that's why Governor Romney thought it would make sense to come and lend me a fundraising hand. So I'm very pleased about it.
So do you think it's really going to help you with the competition, considering your opponent has a big financial advantage?
He does. He does. That's what happens when you're an incumbent United States senator. These guys have completely rigged the system and the process so that they get to collect money over 6 years of time just by passing go, so to speak. And so he's been raising money for 6 years since his last election. I've been raising money for about 6 months, and we'll close the gap. We're not going to close it entirely. We're going to narrow things a little bit, and there's no doubt about it. Everybody who follows politics in New Jersey knows that I'll be outfinanced, I'll be outspent. But we're going to raise enough money to be very viable. And what I have that he doesn't have are a lot of people all around New Jersey who remember a different kind of America and are hoping for a better way. And that's why they're going to rally to my side.
Now, Governor Christie, of course, has been very popular. The polls say that. Do you think his popularity is going to also translate into your campaign somehow and make things better for you?
Well, I think to some degree that will be true. Obviously, I'm a strong ally of Governor Christie, having chaired his campaign and working very closely with him in the state Senate, trying to get important initiatives done. And what we've done here in New Jersey is exactly what we have to do in Washington, D.C. We inherited a broken state government. Washington, D.C. is broken. And we have a Democratic state legislature, but we work together with everybody when we're able to, when we're allowed to, reach across the aisle to solve the tough challenges that affect the state of New Jersey. We're balancing our budgets now. We're doing it without tax increases. We have entitlement problems. Our pension fund would have been bankrupt. Our health benefits system to provide health benefits for public employees would not have been sustainable but for the reforms that we passed. And so we didn't just talk about problems and wait for them to become crises. We dealt with them. But in Washington, D.C., Brenda, they don't do it. We've got a huge debt crisis. We have sky-high deficits. Everybody knows that we're going to have to deal with the Social Security system, deal with Medicare, but these guys don't do it.
Well, let's talk some other issues, too. Let's talk gas prices. Now, here you and Senator Menendez, have really butted heads. He wants to cut tax breaks to oil companies. You don't. Let's talk that one.
Well, listen, you know what? I want to cut taxes for everybody, including average New Jerseyans and Americans all across the land. But I want to do what we need to do to lower gas prices. And when we put out a lot of rhetoric about the oil companies, that doesn't do anything about the price of gasoline. You know what affects it? It's exploring for resource here at home. It's building a Keystone pipeline so that we can have domestic energy supply. We don't have to go off to the Middle East and bring in our oil from someplace else. It's having renewable energy as well. And so when we have gas prices that are as high as they are, and the threat is that they may be even higher, there's problems in Iran. Things could be even worse this summer. We've got to be very wide-eyed. And when you have a pipeline that will bring resource from Canada into the domestic United States, and you vote no on that, what does that say about your seriousness to deal with this problem?
Now, you mentioned the average American. What about those wealthy Americans and taxing the wealthy? I mean, we're talking about the difference in the Buffett rule, where it seems that in many polls, many Americans are in favor of that, but taxing 30%, or at least anyone making $1 million or more, by taxing them at least 30%. Agree, not agree? Why?
Well, listen, I want to lower taxes for everybody. We need tax reform that will lower the rate for everybody, close loopholes, deal with exemptions, and along the way make the economy more efficient, bring in more revenue at the same time, just as Ronald Reagan did back in the 1980s. And so even if you had a so-called millionaire's tax, it brings in a fraction of a percent of what it would take to deal with our national debt. It is minuscule.
So that help will be not good at all?
What I want to focus on are jobs for people, because that's what people really want. We want everybody to do better. And so when you have 20, some people put it at 25 million Americans who are unemployed or underemployed, don't have the kind of job they feel they ought to have, that's heartbreaking. And the society can't sustain that. It's not going to be the America that we know, that we were born to, that we came to. This graduating class, Brenda, as you may have seen in the press this week, will come out of school in May, in June, having worked hard in college, debts that they'll have to deal with for many, many years. Half of them don't have a job to go to. So that's what we need to focus on. It's fine to talk about the Buffett rule and taxes on high net worth people, but does that really increase job creation in America?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Brenda, thank you.